Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Eat, Sleep, Suplex, Retweet.
Say our name and we appear. SDL Season 22. Yes, we're back with another draft selection. Season 22 of Saturday Draft Live here on Eat, Sleep, Suplex, Retweet. My name is David Hockney. And after what has been a very long, tumultuous Season 21 for most people except my co-host, we're finally starting off fresh and with a brand new concept. Yes, so this season we're going to be doing our Double Dash Tornado Tag season, but more on that in just a bit. First of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't give this man a little bit of extra time. You know, with Jack Graham, you know, shackled by the torment of impending parenthood, we've had to go back to the OG again. And not only is he an OG presenter of Saturday Draft Live, he is also a now record-setting 5-time ESSR draft champion. He is Scott McLeod. Scott, how does it feel knowing that you've just made history in the ESSR archives here?
Now, don't let my setup fool you in the large head appearing. This is not Zordon appearing asking you to select the team of 5 teenagers with attitudes. It's Scott McLeod here to pick yet another, draft season winning team. I'm ready to go back to back. But yes, after sheer domination in the last season, and once again FDL host being unreliable, I've been forced to step back in to the old shoes, and it's the least I could do after drowsing the competition in last season. It's the best I could do. It's the least I could do to make my presence known on SDL.
No, it's good to see we've got not just our draft performers watching live here on our YouTube channel. We also have returning Listeners League competitor Alan Laurie, and no, I will not never sing again. So you can shove that right up your Cadbury alley. Anyway, enough of the introductions. I think it's time we got straight into selecting our new teams for the season. Now, the way the Double Dash Tornado Tag Team is going to work, this is only part 1 of the Season 22 team selection. So 6 of us, including myself and Scott, will be selecting our new teams from scratch. The order of selection has been predetermined by a random wheel, except for Scott himself, who, because he won last season, he will be drafting from last. The snake draft will apply. Yep. So the snake draft will apply in that the order of selection will apply to round 1, then the reverse order applies for round 2, and so on and so forth, alternating back and forth. Look who's watching here. It's the doting father himself, Jack Graham. Good to see he's watching live. And
just well he doesn't show his face after that very abysmal performance in the last season.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so snake draft for the selection, and for the team selection, you must pick one tag team. You must have a 3-2 split between male and female competitors. Commentators are off limits. And yeah, so you can have 2 males, 3 females, or you can have 3 males, 2 females, whichever you prefer. But make sure you get a tag team pick in there as well. And yeah, just don't be a dick, stick to the rules. And part 2 of the selection will be hosted by Stephen and Ryan this coming Thursday, 8 p.m. same time, GMT, on our YouTube channel. So make sure you stick a reminder in for that, where the other half of the competitors league will be choosing their teams, but they won't be limited with the selection that they make, because normally when we select teams, once a person's picked, they're off the board. That's not going to be the case here. So part 1 and part 2 are essentially drafting independently, but we will also be competing when the season starts. We will be competing as tag teams in both parts. So, but I'll get to the teams once the selections are made. But Scott, I think it's time to get down to the nitty gritty here. I think we should start off with the team selection, and the Wheel of Misfortune unfortunately determined that the person going first is going to be none other than Gary Morris. So, and I believe he's watching us in the studio right now. So Gary, if you can hear us, please give us your first round pick. And he's in straight with a banger. He was number one overall last season. He's number one pick this time around. Gary picks the WWE champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Scott, I think that is a banging pick to start off for Gary.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's nice to know that you can do, these other three people can do something right. Being a, they're hard to find many people better than Cody for your first pick. WWE champion, he is pretty much the guy, no matter what brand he's on, and he's out of the. Is he part still going to be involved with the Bloodline? Is he not? But he's pretty much going to be very much a constant, and he'll probably be on every PLE, so big points coming Gary's way.
And lucky for me, I think this is the highest I've drafted in quite a while. I
don't look so smug about it.
I am the round two selection this time, and I am going to kick things off with a bang, or rather, I say a massive chop, because my pick, Scott, is your doppelganger, the new World Heavyweight Champion, Gunther. And he's been announced for a title defense against Randy Orton at Bash in Berlin, so that's easy points straight off the bat.
Yeah, I think coming out of SummerSlam, that's the other most obvious one. I think it was going to be between him and Cody for who went number one, so it's no surprise you've slipped in and taken him so early.
Yeah. Now, up next in our selection, Scott, I believe you've got Grant McRobbie's dice selection
yes.
to hand. So if you could announce his first selection, please.
So it's the list, obviously, of most things that Grant has done in the last few seasons has been determined by the dice. So it's in, I'm just going to read it from top down, like top pick down, and basically go through the list there. Try to get his
you have a great opportunity to fuck up his list right now, but I don't imagine you do that to your East Meets West comrade.
Well, he's been listed in order when the dice picked him. So the top pick, I'm going to go top down. Like you picked his number two pick, which is Gunther, but the top pick as determined by the dice will be a team captain. Well, no, it'll be his number one pick, sorry. And this could be a great pick or a complete fuck up, depending on how frequently he appears, but all you have to do is say his name.
Oh!
The dice have determined that Joe Hendry is number one for Grant McRobbie.
I mean, I was expecting the prestigious one to be picked, but my God, this early on, round one, that is very, very bold. And making his debut in the Saturday Draft Live selections here. This is a very, very interesting choice to go with round one. But Tom Brock, I believe you're up next, and he is straight in, no beating around the bush here, and he is choosing the new Intercontinental Champion, Braun Breaker.
Again, he's on a run of his life right now on the main roster. It was always going to take the belt from Sammy. They've clearly very much behind him. He's not taking many losses, and he's going to hold on to that title for a long time.
You reckon? I mean, he does have a 2 out of 3 falls title defense against Sami Zayn next Monday night on Raw, so Tom could come out swinging with a successful title defense.
Oh yeah, he's going to hold that through the end of the year is my prediction. Like, I think he could even hold it to WrestleMania. That's a prediction for me.
Yep, absolutely. Anyway, let's move on to he's the bane of many drafts, and he recently he's been very much into pinfalls and patter these days, but it's the GOAT, David Campbell. Team GOAT is back once again. And Scott, I believe you've got his first round pick.
Yeah, I'm keeping it updated because obviously Tom, we can see how in the chat, he's keeping us very much quickly updated. So David can't quite first see what we see, so I had to update him on who is being picked and who hasn't been picked. And we've already seen the new World Heavyweight Champion get picked, but the other David in this draft has picked the former World Heavyweight Champion. He's picked El Campeon, Damian Priest.
Ooh, interesting. Well, I mean, the Judgment Day is no more, but it's still a great way for El Campeon to get straight back on the board. Still round one pick. You think he might be a bit hasty with this selection, given that Priest has just lost the world title, or do you think Judgment Day is going to be all over the product?
Oh no, like he's going to get several appearance points, no matter what. And Balor, Priest, without a belt, is going to be a major story through the summer. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a fight, has to find himself a partner to go after Finn and JD. But Enough about him. This is about me now because we come to the last pick. So I have my first round
Yes,
pick and my second round pick.
that's right, because we're going straight into the snake draft here.
hmm And she wasn't high up on my overall list of picks, but since Damien Priest is already gone, I
Uh-huh.
think maybe the other half of the Terror Twins should come to my team. The woman who helped me win last year's transfer winner season, Rhea Bloody Ripley, is my number one pick.
Rhea Bloody Ripley. I think that's a pretty wise decision as well. She had a very unfortunate season last season. Ryan Dalglish picked her as round 3 overall, but she got injured for most of the season. The only match she really had was at SummerSlam, bar a couple of appearances post WrestleMania. So hopefully she can have a better luck this time. She's been listed internally as a babyface, and she has a reason to not only team up with Damian Priest, but also go after Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. So I think that's a very smart pick on your end, Scott. And since we're in the snake draft as well, we're straight into round 2. So you now have to give me your round 2 pick.
Yeah, I think it's weird, especially when it's like round 1 and 2, when you're at this position. Like, it really doesn't make a difference, I think, where it's round 1 or 2, but you want to get 2 really solid picks. And I want to remember we have 3, I think, major pay-per-views from AEW in this season, as well as probably several big episodes of Dynamite. So I need to get some AEW representation in there. And I'm going to pick the man who will defeat America and reclaim his international championship. I'm picking Will Ospreay.
Oh, a big favorite from an East meets West New Japan pro wrestling lover like Will Ospreay. I think this is his highest draft selection so far. Actually, no, I stand corrected. He was actually a round 1 pick for Grant McRobbie's team last season. So round 2 this time around, but you could have chosen Will Ospreay or Rhea Ripley in that order. So I don't think it really matters, what order he selected this time around.
Yeah, I think any season, especially that as Ospreay's become more of a prominent role in AEW's inside, and that they'd both be sought after round 1 picks in any other draft. But I've already got David Campbell's for second round pick. The woman that my first round pick will be chasing after for match of the season. He's picking the current women's world champion, Liv Morgan.
Oh, Liv Morgan, very good. As we mentioned, a big factor in the implosion of Judgment Day this past weekend at SummerSlam. But Team Goat, he's not beating around the bush this time. He's going for the big hitters. He's going for both sides of the Judgment Day feud at the minute. I think he could be onto a winner here.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Tom Brock, you're back in play, and he's straight into it. Like, no beating around the bush for him either. He is picking potentially the new AEW Women's Champion. He is going bold with Mariah May.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting because Tony Storm's so over, but Mariah Ray's from the UK, and they're really getting behind this new heel character. So this could be a solid pick for Tom. Like Wembley will be a big determiner on that success.
Yeah, definitely. All right, straight back to Grant on his dice rolling. Hopefully, his round 2 pick will he play it safe, or do you think he'll go a bit mental with his next one?
Well, I'll say Joe Hendry was his number at the top of the list, and then the next few picks have already been taken quite early on. So the next pick on the list is a tag team pick.
Okay.
And you know what? I thought about taking this pick as well, but he's put down Rowan and Gacy as part of the Wyatt Six. They had a 6-man tag this past week on Raw, so I think any combination of the Wyatt Six would be, at least you'd have to at least consider them as a tag team, at least for appearance points.
Yeah, the Wyatt Six obviously having their first match back in Monday Night Raw, getting a win over the new stable of American Made, Gable and the Creeds. So, but they were a bit of a slow burner last season following the transfer window. But hopefully now that they've had their first match, hopefully we can get some more storyline booking and maybe some wins for the Wyatt Six. But I'm glad Grant actually went with that pick, because that sets my next pick up pretty nicely. And to balance out the women's selections, Team Goat may have picked one women's world champion. I'm going to take the other one, who also it's royalty fitting for the West End Country Club. I am picking the women's world champion. It is Nia Jax.
I have no comments on your West End Country Club comment, but yeah, Nia Jax, I think it'll be very interesting to see how long through the season she holds that, because Tiffany Stratton will always be hanging around in the background with that briefcase. So Which
Well,
yeah,
Nia
again,
Jax has been doing pretty good as of late. I reckon even if she doesn't, hold the title for the entire season, I reckon, she'll be a prominent feature on SmackDown going forward. But who's to say she won't get a few more title defenses under her wing? That's what I'm banking on.
oh yeah, she'll at least have a rematch with Bailey, but just be wary of the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah, Gary Morris clearly has a short-term memory because he originally said Liv Morgan, but Team Goat's already snatched her up, so he's going with his backup option, and it is the timeless one, Tony Storm.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I mean, she could easily hold it past Wembley. This could be a longer term story between her and Mariah. But, AEW clearly invests a lot in Tony, so she'll really be a big part of the program with or without the belt because we're seeing this next evolution of her character being a little bit more unhinged.
Yeah, and we're now into round 3 now. Gary, you got to give us another pick because we're back into the snake draft format here. And he is going for his tag team pit, and I am fuming right now because he's already swiped the tag team that I was planning to go for. But he's picked a very reliable tag team, and I think he's going to do well with them this season. He chooses the Young Bucks.
So, I mean, again, appearance points wise, the EVPs are all over the shop at the minute. The Elite are pretty much a constant on TV. And again, with or without the belts this season, they will always be a part of the show. So I think they're always a reliable. I think some people underestimate the Young Bucks in some seasons, but it's a solid pick.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, it's my turn now to choose my third round pick, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling a bit uneasy, but you know what? I'm gonna go slightly different to my game plan, but you know what they say? Whose game is it? L.A. Knight. Yeah.
See, we're in round 3 now. I'm surprised
Yes.
it took this long, given that the other mid card champion got taken like almost immediately after the 2 world champs had went. So I'm surprised it took this long because LA Knight, we've waited this long. Again, he'll have a long reign with that belt, I imagine. So I'm surprised no one picked him up first.
Yeah, well, you snooze, you lose in this instance. Scott, give us Grant's next dice roll.
Yes. Looking down the list, and we've got another male pick here. We got Finn Balor.
Ooh, one half of the Raw Tag Team Champions. So that puts the Raw Tag Team Champions as a duo off the table. But that leaves a certain someone still up for grabs who's still a champion. So I guess we'll see what happens. Tom says dick move from Grant, by the way. So make of that what you will.
Well, the dice giveth and the dice taketh away.
And speaking of Tom Brock, it's his next pick, so we'll just wait for him to send in his next one. And he says he'll be taking the best thing going in AEW. It is none other than Kazuchika Okada. Now watch as I try and spell this on the banner.
Just just say Okada. Okada's easy enough.
Okay. Yeah, I'll not. Maybe that's why he deliberately picked it, just so he could try and see me spell Kazuchika.
I mean, nothing can be worse than the time Jack Graham absolutely butchered the pronunciation of Konosuke Takeshita, almost caused an international incident. It was that bad.
Kazuchika Okada was selected by Tom Brock in round 3 last time around, so he's keeping consistent with his team in round 3 here. So pretty solid bet, all things considered.
Consistency is a lot like Okada's favorite word, a bitch.
Yeah, all right. Scott, back to Team GOAT. What's he got for us?
I was making sure he knows Tom's pick. I don't know how much he's keeping up with who has and hasn't been picked, but he's right in there with another Judgment Day member. This story is really coming out. He's going with Dominic Mysterio.
Oh, Dirty Dom. Probably the final piece of the hottest Judgment Day angle going at the minute. But yeah, I think Dom's been a pretty consistent scorer in past seasons of draft. He's always consistently been a top scorer, just purely with appearance points alone. The guy's a heat magnet. He's been off with injury for the last few months, but hopefully he can get some points back in the ring as well. But I think regardless, he's going to be a big points getter for Team GOAT.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. So it's up to me now on my third round pick, and I think this is around the time we start looking at the tag teams, given that one, like you said, one half of one of the tag team champions. I mean, so it's already been taken off
Mhm.
of the board. I thought about taking the other set tag champs, but then with one of them potentially being injured after that big stable spot at SummerSlam, maybe not. But I need to go over to the other side again, over to AEW, a team that I think will be very popular here because everyone loves the Acclaimed.
The
The team who have
Acclaimed.
a tag team title shot, lest we forget, and I think that's coming at Wembley.
That'll be an interesting one as well. You know, they absolutely rocked it for Team Goat when they were the trios champions. So I think that's a very wise selection for your team there. And I've just realized as well, Team Goat now has Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. So whenever they appear as a duo, that's 2 appearance points straight away. I think he knew exactly what he was doing with that selection.
Oh yeah, you know, he's got a
Anyway,
big head. There
Scott.
has to be a big brain in there somewhere.
Anyway, Scott, straight into your pick for round 4.
I think it feels so weird that this person maybe hasn't been picked, given I already mentioned them. So if they have been picked, I apologize, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's what time is it? It's Tiffy time.
It's Tiffy time. Tiffany Stratton, Miss Money in the Bank. I think her booking for the next wee while is going to be a little bit up in the air, given that, you know, she is Miss Money in the Bank. She might not cash it in for a good while, but she does have that nice pink and gold briefcase going for her at the minute. She's teaming with Nia Jax, who is the current champion. Quite an interesting dynamic to say the least, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens next. All right. Team
Wherever
Goat.
Nia goes, she'll be definitely around for the foreseeable future. David, he took someone who I thought would be part of a tag team, but he's taking them as a singles, maybe foresees a breakup. He says to me, "You're home with the Belair," because he's taking Bianca Belair.
Ooh, there we go. You're home to Belair instead. Yeah, it's Team Goat, obviously, you know, racking up quite a very dynamic selection here, to say the least. But Bianca and Jade were drafted as solo competitors last season, and it looks like it's going to happen again this time around. Clearly, nobody's got a lot of faith in the two of them as a tag team, but I digress.
Given they recently failed to reclaim the titles, I think some people maybe foresee a breakup coming in the near future.
Yeah, that is potentially true. And Tom, again, not messing around with his picks. He is going for a combination of the AEW Trios champions. He is choosing Christian Cage and Kill Switch.
That is interesting. I would have thought maybe if Christian Cage is going to be able to you pick him and Nick Wayne, you know, father and son, and also mainly given the fact that Kill Switch, you know, rumors are that he was hurt, you know, maybe not a major injury, at least injured somewhat in that Trios title win. So you should put Christian Cage in the dinosaur.
Yes.
This is not a Disney movie.
But that's interesting. You know, that's the first time I think the Patriarchy's been drafted as a team. But as we've seen with the Trios titles as well, you know, the Trios titles themselves have scored big points in terms of title defenses. But is it going to be as frequent the Patriarchy? I'm not entirely sure.
Well, there's only one way to tell for sure.
Yeah, it is a new pick in the season, so I suppose we can give them the benefit of the doubt on this one. But okay, Grant's next dice roll. It's the fourth dice roll. Easy for me to say.
I don't think he has a woman so far, so we should probably get some in here. And Owen, whose team is being prominently featured once again on TV, it's the most graphic Robbie dice pick I've ever seen. Dakota Kai.
Dakota Kai loves King Kota. Yeah, I think, you know, I think Grant's always considered Dakota Kai, you know, a safe bet for his draft. But Damage Control themselves do have a bit of a feud going on Monday Night Raw. So who's to say, you know, that, you know, maybe an undercard feud with a few wins back and forth, you know, that could rack up some points for King Kota.
Possibly.
Yeah. Anyway, straight on to my round 4 pick, and I think it's time I chose a tag team. So I'm gonna be rather bold with this one.
Oh, Dave.
You know, people, the GOAT David Campbell, you know, he can rip me to shreds for, you know, playing it safe all the time. But I reckon.
Oh, he's reckoning.
Yeah. You want a bold play? How's this for a bold play? I choose Wesley and Zachary Wentz.
You're trying
The
to remember what he's
Rascals.
called now, aren't you?
Yep, it took me a second. The Rascals, aka MSK.
Yeah, MSK, if you want to get technical about it. Yeah, that was also
Yeah.
another one of my teams that I put down. But again, it depends on how long this relationship with TNA is going to continue for. Much like
Well,
Grant's pick of Joe Hendry.
well, Fraser and Axiom are scheduled to defend against MSK. And it was Axiom that agreed to the title match itself, where Fraser seemed a bit flustered. So I'm wondering, maybe we could see a title change. Maybe the tag titles get featured on TNA for a bit.
See, that's why I didn't pick Axiom and Fraser, despite them being far exceeding expectations last season. That's why I didn't go for them this season.
That's why I think the Rascals, if they're featured as frequently as Joe Hendry is on NXT, I reckon I could have pulled a blinder there. But I guess we'll just wait and see. Gary Morris, you're up next.
He's making inquiries about a pick who is very much still on the board.
Yeah.
Has a big match coming up.
He was round 1 last season, but he's dropped all the way to round 4 this season. Gary picks the AEW World Champion, Swerve Strickland.
I wouldn't say he single-handedly won it for me last season, but he was a big part of it. And I think maybe some of these picks like in AEW are going further down because I think SummerSlam is just so fresh for a lot of people that people are thinking WWE-wise, but maybe forgetting that we do have Wembley and that coming up. And the whole title career stipulation made it very interesting to see what happens with Swerve going forward if he'll continue that success that he had last season.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gary, we're into round 5 now, so you got to give us another pick. And as it stands, you have 2 males, 1 female, and your tag team. So you can choose a male or female, and you'd be absolutely fine.
You can go both ways. And I see he's a pick in the chat here. He's went for a man who's on the run of his career right now. He's picked Drew McIntyre.
Ooh, yeah, there we go. Hottest feud of the summer so far, and we're finally getting it on the board. Gary picks Drew McIntyre all the way down to round 5. So that's going to be a very interesting one, to say the least. He won at SummerSlam. The feud with Punk's still ongoing. Could see a grudge match at Bad Blood.
Possibly. That's somebody who I'm more surprised about moving down, given he's so hot at the minute. And coming off SummerSlam, the segment of Raw implies that this Punk thing is very much far from over. But
he was
on to you now.
Yeah, he was round 1 for Collins' team last season, but I think more losses than wins. Maybe he may have spooked some people from drafting him so highly. So my round 5 pick, and I'm going to go with another woman, someone who I think had a very underappreciated performance last season, and I'm just going to be adding more gold to the West End Country Club. I'm taking the NXT Women's Champion, Roxanne Perez.
I mean,
and you don't have to put on the red light.
I said multiple times on Central. I mean, your face is red enough as it is. But I said multiple times on Central and things like that she's pretty much the reason she's holding on the title for so long is they're waiting for a particular someone to come in, and I think that person's due this season. So we'll see how long that lasts. I think there are 2 NXT specials planned this year: No Mercy in September, and I think maybe Halloween Havoc in October. Or at least I know No Mercy's happening, so maybe wise for some people to get some NXT picks in. But that takes us back to Grant's
it was another dice roll
list. There's a couple of tag teams here who he's already got a tag team, but we do have someone who's also heavily involved in this stuff with Seth and Punk, and maybe going to a brand new feud after Raw. He's taking the visionary, the revolutionary, Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins. Quite an interesting angle we saw coming out of Monday Night Raw. He got tsunami'd 6 times by Bronson Reed. Could this be a potential feud filler before moving on back to the Drew Punk angle a little bit?
I could see that, because I think there was the idea that before Seth got hurt going into Elimination Chamber, they wanted to have a match. So maybe it's the idea of picking up where that left off, at least until Punk and Drew finish their thing. Then Seth can have his feud with Punk that they've wanted to do for so long. But that's another one talking about people dropping down, a former staple of this draft. In previous years, dropping all the way down here.
Yeah. And just a note for Grant as well. He now has 3 men, a tag team, and 1 woman. So his last pick has to be a woman. Just throwing that out there.
Going down the list to see some. Well, quite a few of them have already been picked, but we'll see what happens when we get to. To the
Tom Brock, round. You're up next. Give us your round 5 selection.
He says he's taking everything well. Oh, Dave clearly inspiring people to go bold.
Well, just because I chose MSK.
I'm really just taking the piss. But yeah, he's taking Brian Danielson, which again is
Oh,
someone I was tempted to take also because the fact that he's put his stipulation, his career on the line
yeah.
has made a lot of people think maybe he will walk out with the belt. So again, that's another pick we'll have to wait and see after Wembley.
Hmm.
David Campbell's already straight in there with his tag team pick. Also, given that one half the tag champions is already away, he's going with the other members of remaining for Judgment Day of JD McDonough or JD McGoldway, as he's put here, and Carlito.
Okay. That's
So I think he's
interesting
going
one.
for
I
the.
mean,
I think it's the idea of taking whoever remains from Judgment
from
Day
Judgment Day,
off the
yeah.
board, plus the need for a tag team.
Yeah, that's right. I think the Grant picking Finn Balor earlier on's kind of messed that up a little bit, but JD and Carlito have to compete as a tag team, and as far as I can tell from last season, every time they have competed as a team, they've always lost. So I reckon the GOAT's banking on appearance points for them too, but still a fair strategy to say the least. Jeff, as long as he gets Judgment Day off the board.
Uh huh.
But anyway,
So
Scott, yeah,
I
you've
need to
got
pick,
2 picks to make, yeah.
and
You've got 2
basically it needs
women,
to be
one
a
man,
male
a
and a
tag
female.
team, so you can choose a man and a woman, respectively.
See, there's plenty of male picks still available. I'm going to go with the female pick first.
Mm-hmm.
And I
So you have
think
3 women on your team.
I've already got 2 women. Oh, yes, I
Yep,
do. No,
Rhea
I can
Ripley
pick
and
2 men.
Tiffany
Never mind.
Stratton.
Never mind. I thought I had to pick a man and a woman. Never mind. I think because I've got
Yeah,
more
you can
male
pick a
picks.
woman and a man. So
Yeah, I think I've got 2 male picks. Wait, I've got 1 male pick and 2 female picks, haven't I? Yeah,
uh,
I think I've got.
so you've got Rhea Ripley, Will Ospreay, the acclaimed Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah,
You can pick
so
2 males and
I
you'll
think
be fine.
yeah, I'm going to pick 2 males because I think I have more male picks left over that I think. Oh, I'm happy that
Mm-hmm.
they've lasted here. I'm really doing this just to piss off one person. Round 5 pick is Scrap Daddy Adam Pierce
Oh, he's back. Scrap Daddy, Adam Pearce, a staple of Team GOAT, but
because I think he's
the
more
other one.
regular than Nick Aldis has been recently. So I think of the 2, he's actually the more prominent GM to
Yeah.
take.
He was
And
round 3 last season, scored 89 points, and now he's been dropped to round 5.
and there's someone who's I'm surprised has dropped to round 6. And maybe people are hesitant because in previous seasons he hasn't wrestled as much.
Mm-hmm.
I think given the angle he's about to go into, he will have to wrestle a few times this season, and they will be big matches. Now, I may be a 5-time winner. There's only one number I care about. Throw your
44.
ones to the sky. Acknowledge your tribal chief, Roman Reigns.
He's back. Roman Reigns off the board. Now, Roman's obviously absent for most of last season. He only made 1 appearance at SummerSlam. But Ross selected him as part of a tag team with Paul Heyman, which has been done in the past, but unfortunately that wasn't to be. It scored a nil point for the past season, and I think Ross has dropped out of the season purely from embarrassment for not getting that point there.
I don't think it's that fully that reason, but yeah, I think David Campbell's not as hurt about that as I thought he may be. But yeah,
GOAT's last pick of
face.
season 22. Who do we have?
Oh, interesting. Again, it's somebody who everyone keeps talking about. Oh, that person gets very underrated, but he's not really doing anything at the minute. He is going with Orange Cassidy.
Oh my god, yeah. The criminally underrated Orange Cassidy. He's been sort of left hanging, more times than not, and now he's dropped all the way to round 6 for his team here. But he's a pillar of AEW. He's a consistent match winner. He's a consistent appearance, massive charisma despite his very laid back attitude. I think Team GOAT has just added probably the darkest horse of the Saturday Draft Live draft. Tom Brock, we need your round 6 pick now, and he's just realized as well his team will be all AEW except one, and he is rounding his team off with none other than the CEO, Mercedes Moné.
Yeah, that's a very interesting pick. I would have thought her planned all-in opponent would have been up sooner than this, but I think given her recent suspension, I don't think her winning the title is as guaranteed. So going in with Monet, I think, is a wise choice, especially for the last round.
Yeah. All right, Grant McRobbie, one last throw of the dice. What have you got for us?
So far, who we have?
And he
we
needs
have
a woman.
Yeah, so far he has Joe Hendry, Rowan Gacy, Finn Balor, Dakota Kai, and Seth Rollins. I'm just going through here because it's in a weird order, this fucking list.
And can I just say now that Grant has been forced to choose a female, my round 6 plan has worked to perfection.
And that's lovely for you. I think we're going to go with, because I'm between two and I don't know who you would want more between the two. I think inevitably this one might get more wins. Jade Cargill.
Oh, yeah. The storm is coming.
Given
the
that Bianca
storm
went,
named Jade Cargill.
Given that Bianca went a couple of rounds earlier, I'm surprised no one tried to snap up the tag team partner much sooner.
Well, I think Jade's been still sort of held back a little bit, maybe just for whatever reason. But I guess Grant's going to take a chance on her this time around. Hopefully, she has a bit more luck. But she was a decent scorer last season, selected by Matt Smith, who scored 108 points overall, 7th for season 21. So yeah, solid score. I just hope that can transition into more points, despite not being women's tag team champions anymore. But I'm very pleased that this is how this has worked out, because there is a select group of people that I think have been blatantly ignored in this selection, and I'm so pleased because now 5 of my 6 picks are reigning champions at the minute, because my round 6 pick, it's going to be a bloke, and it's going to be a member of the bloodline, one half of the tag team champions. It is Tama Tonga.
See, again, like I said, not going with them as a tag team, given that the other half, the much better half, many people would say, is currently injured.
Yeah, I was hoping, at least one of them would still be up for grabs, and it's worked to perfection. So I've got one half of the tag team champions, arguably one of the stronger ring workers that isn't injured as part of the bloodline. So here's hoping, that not just wins, but appearance points and potentially even title defenses can get the bloodline right-hand man up and running. But our last selection of the season is Gary Morris. His team currently consists of Cody Rhodes, Tony Storm, the Young Bucks, Swerve Strickland, and Drew McIntyre, which means, Gary, you need to pick a woman for your round 6 pick. And he's brought in the chat right away. And I think it's a very, very good way to round off part 1 of season 22. He has gone with the NXT Women's North American Champion, Kalani Jordan.
Nice. Yeah, so it's a very interesting pick. I think a lot of people didn't know what to make of her last season because she was picked to the transfer window, because that fell just after she won the North American title. So, it's hard to really say how successful that pick will be, even though it's a champion. But that's probably why you picked it so late.
Well, I'd say, Scott, because there's much less of us drafting this time around, I think it's safe to say, I think we've all got pretty solid teams on paper. But just to reiterate how this season works, so this is the Double Draft Tornado Tag Team season. So we've all made our team selections here on this selection pool, but part 2 of season 22 draft selection will be hosted by Stephen and Ryan this coming Thursday, 8 p.m. on our YouTube channel, where those draftees will be drafting their own teams from scratch, and everybody is back in play for selection. So just because of the names we've chosen today, they can still, part 2 can still choose any of these people that have been drafted, or they could form an entirely new team, whichever works best for them. But
I think we should also talk about is the fact that this is a good opportunity, because you're in a tag team, so you're kind of competing to get individually, but also together, because your overall score together will be added together, and at that halfway point when we all go back to being individuals. And it'll be an interesting idea for us to learn from our mistakes, something we don't get all the chance to do outside of the transfer window season, because the person you're in a tag team with could pick somebody and you're like, oh god, how did I miss that person, because we always seem to have. And again, what's amazing about some of the teams we got on paper here is the fact that, given that today it's only 6 people and it'll be 6 on Thursday, the field is halved, which means there's far more people available, so you have more opportunities of, oh god, that person's still available, I got to get them. So it made it a lot more interesting.
Yep. And I have the tag teams here, so I'll read out the people who've done our drafts today and who they're going to be teaming with, so you'll keep an eye out for them this season in part 2, I should say. So Gary Morris, our round 1 selection, he will be teaming with the round 1 selection for part 2, Dan Axel Jameson, who won the Listeners League last season, and because he won the Listeners League Cup, that's why he's earned the position to draft first this time around.
It's like a double participation award winning both of those.
Yeah, exactly. Myself, I will be reuniting with my former tag team partner, Robert fucking Shaw, who was teaming as the Shaw Bank Redemption for the WrestleMania 37 season, and we're back at it again. Grant McRobbie is teaming with the work experience boy that is Ryan Dalgleish, and
he's absolutely thrilled about it.
Yeah, this wasn't by his own accord. The dice chose it for him, just to make that perfectly clear.
Again, the dice giveth and they taketh away.
Yep. Tom Brock is teaming with our Overlord and Master Stephen Wilson, who will be on hosting duty on Thursday. The GOAT, David Campbell, finally gets his wish and gets to team with Gary Kernahan. King Mabel's Goats, as their tag team name has been suggested in the team's chat. And Scott, you will be teaming up with the relative newcomer that is Matt Smith to the...
a very chalk and cheese. He's all about vibes, I'm all about points. So I imagine his team will just be entirely the Wyatt Six come Thursday.
Yeah. So that's all going to go down this coming Thursday, 8 p.m. on our YouTube channel, Eat, Sleep, Suplex, Retweet. But one last thing left to do, Scott, before we wrap up this team selection here, and it is choosing our team captains and coming up with team names. And I'm pleased to say that Gary and Tom have put their names in straight away. Gary Morris wasted no time. Yeah. So Gary Morris very smartly has put the captaincy on Cody Rhodes, and his team name is the Listeners League Legends.
If I have nothing nice to say, I'm gonna not saying anything at all.
Yeah, maybe, or he could have gone with maybe the League of Listeners Legends, but I digress. I'm just getting my gamer head on. I, of course, am sticking with the old tradition of the West End Country Club, draped in gold and royalty this season. I have kings, queens, title holders, renegades, rascals, and a Samoan bulldozer, essentially. So, West End Country Club, and my team captain, of course, will be Gunther.
That is fair. I could have bet my house on you not changing your team name.
Yeah. Scott, has Grant got a team name for his
he's got
team
also,
and a captain?
As we mentioned, also Joe Hendry, Ronan Gacy, Dakota Kai, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Jade Cargill. He's going for his team name, Roll for Jackpot. Roll for Jackpot. And it's Jack, a small hyphen, then Pot, as he's written.
Oh, right.
Just thought I'd let you know for accuracy.
Just being pedantic here.
Finn Balor is his captain, which I think for me it would have been between him and Seth Rollins, so not a bad pick.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to read out Gary's team in full. So Gary has Cody Rhodes, Tony Storm, the Young Bucks, Swerve Strickland, Drew McIntyre, and Kalani Jordan. And as for me, I have Gunther, Nia Jax, LA Knight, MSK, Roxanne Perez, and Tama Tonga. Now, Tom Brock, he's got his team name in. He will be the Brock and Roll Express. And his team captain, he's gambling on a win for her in Wembley. It's Mariah May.
So there you go. How do you deal with a problem like Mariah? You put your captaincy on her.
Yeah. I assume Team GOAT is sticking around for this one.
Oh yeah. The other most guaranteed thing in the chat, other than you and your bloody West End Country Club. So he has Damian Priest, Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio, Bianca Belair, JD, and Carlito, and Orange Cassidy. And unsurprisingly, Damian Priest will be his captain.
Yeah. And I forget to read out Tom Brock's team as well. See, he has Braun Breaker, Mariah May, Kazuchika Okada, Christian Cage and Killswitch of the Patriarchy, Bryan Danielson, and Mercedes Moné. And last but not least, Scott, as our 5-time draft winner, closes off with this draft selection. What's your team name and who is your captain?
So obviously I have what I think is a pretty solid team here of Rhea Ripley, Will Ospreay, The Acclaimed, Tiffany Stratton, Scrap Daddy, and the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. I was between two ideas in terms of who to put the captaincy on between my 1 and 2 pick, because Rhea will be great for appearance points with the captaincy, but Will Ospreay will wrestle more, especially potentially in title matches if he gets that international belt back. So for now, I'm going to put it on Will with the idea that I'm going to keep one eye on what happens with Rhea and potentially switch the captaincy to her midway through the season. And even though I slagged this man off recently, given his commentary, in tribute to a fellow five-time champion in Booker T, my team will be known as the 5-5. And much like Booker T's actual, yes, and unlike Booker
even though
T's
there's
actual,
6 of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, much like Booker T's actual Fave 5, there's more than 5 people in it.
I see what you did there. That's actually quite clever. But yeah, that's going to do it for part 1 here of season 22 of the draft selection. The first teams are set, the captains have been chosen, and yeah, I guess next thing is to tune into part 2 and see how our tag team partners do with their team selection. So firstly, Scott, thank you for joining in the co-hosting duties now that Jack has decided to become a dad. But yeah, I think we'll be paying very close attention to these teams on paper as we kick off season 22.
Yes, I'm becoming the patriarchy right here. Even though I'm one of the people who doesn't have a child, I'm always the one stepping in when people are going off to have children. I've done it with Central, I've done it here, and I can only say that you are very welcome for having me here. And I'd like to say that I'd be slowing down after the dominant one last season, but I've never won. No one's ever won back to back, and the SummerSlam to Survivor Series season is the only one left I haven't won. So I'm going full steam ahead on this one.
All right. Well, if you've enjoyed listening to Eat, Sleep, Suplex, Retweet, and you haven't got involved with Saturday Draft Live, the ESSR draft, and you want to, make sure you reach out to us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Suplex Retweet. Join our Facebook community page. Get involved with the discussion. We have central big questions fairly frequently. If you want to get in touch with the Listeners League this season, just reach out to us on any of those platforms at Suplex Retweet. And yeah, get involved. We'd love to see more and more competitors each time around. And who knows, maybe you could win the Listeners League and join us next season, much like Dan Axel Jameson and Robert fucking Shaw have done this time around. But Scott, thank you for joining us on hosting duty. And make sure to tune in to part 2 of the draft selection this coming Thursday, 8 p.m. on the Eat, Sleep, Suplex, Retweet YouTube channel. I've been David Hockney. This has been Saturday Draft Live, and we will see you for the kickoff of season 22.
Bye-bye.